What's up, Whoopers? Vice here, and we're doing episode 2 of Talk Back Pokémon, the video series where I ask questions and you tell me what you think. So, we had a lot of responses to the first week's questions, and I'm very thankful for that, so thank you very much to everybody who commented. I'm going to go through a couple of answers and share my thoughts, and then we'll move on to the topic for today's episode. So let's start with the previous question, which was, what deck style do you want to see more of? And I've got an answer here from Emerald Vector, who is a long-time viewer of the channel. And Emerald answers with, they want to see more anti-meta meandering, such as the likes of hitting weakness with single prize attackers. So, of course, Zoroark is the front runner for that type of archetype, and it'll improve quite a lot when the new Raichu releases and gives us an anti-meta attacker to deal with Palkia, which is sort of the last sort of type that we're really looking for to deal with as far as an anti-weakness stage 1 box goes. So, and I agree, I would really like to see a Zoroark deck rise to prominence. So let's look forward to the Raichu and give that a go when it comes out. And then Dorican gave me a fairly detailed answer, so thank you very much for replying, Dorican. I'm going to go through as much of your answer as I can here and give you my thoughts as well. So, Dorican says they're a big fan of Stage 2 Pokemon. I'm with you there. And they agree that Stage 2 evolution decks are more difficult to set up. And that is true. They do take quite a bit to set up. And you have to think about, is the reward for setting them up worth it? Is it justified that they are difficult to set up? So if they've got a really powerful effect, then it should be locked behind a difficult path to setting them up, okay? But on the other hand, if we were to make Stage 2 Pokemon easier to set up, then maybe their power gets reined in. Maybe they're not as interesting anymore. Maybe they become a bit more linear because it's not so great if very powerful abilities are very easy to get into play. So you have to keep that in mind when thinking about any kind of Pokemon, let alone Stage 2s. So my suggestion would probably be to have comeback mechanics return to the game. It's kind of a funny way to put it. Comeback mechanics come back to the game, right? What I would like to see to help Stage 2 Pokemon in the current landscape of the game is I'd like to see more comeback type cards re-enter standard format. And those kinds of cards like Teammates, for example, or Twins back in the day, were very good at facilitating Stage 2 Pokemon. So it does seem like the game is trending in that direction. There was some kind of interview from a little while ago where the creators of the game did talk about comeback mechanics being on the menu, so to speak. So hopefully we'll see that. It does make sense if they're going to push Stage 2 EXs to the forefront. So we'll just have to wait and see. And then Dorican talked about tribal concepts in Pokemon as well. And look, I do think there is a degree of tribal concepts in Pokemon. So what they meant is, like in Magic the Gathering, you've got the different colors. In a game like Hearthstone, you've got the different classes. So like Hearthstone's a good example where you're not allowed to put, say, rogue cards in a hunter deck and vice versa. But with Pokemon, you could sort of take Inteleon, which is a water-type Pokemon, and slot it into any deck. So the concept of a tribe is a bit different and not as rigid. The point of this was that Dorican says that they would like to see a trainer card of some kind to help improve the consistency of Stage 2 Pokemon, and I agree. I think something like that would be good. A trainer card that specifies non-rule box Pokemon that helps evolution Pokemon get into play, I think would be appreciated. I'm going to go through a couple more here. We've got Aries BK saying that they would like to see a slower pace of play to help facilitate setup Pokemon. And I agree. I think that having a game where your board is like an attacker here, an attacker here, and you got some support Pokemon and some Pokemon that provide extra utility, I think that would be really good. And then you've got Lone Wolf01 who submitted their answer, which says they'd like to see support for Mill. And you know what? I think that we do have a reasonable amount of support for Mill. You've got Durant, we've got Centiskorch, and we've got silly ones like Crocodile and other Pokemon as well that can do it. I think we're in an okay spot for Mill. You could print maybe 1 or 2 more cards to help them along. I'm not really sure that you want to, though. I don't know. I think that we're okay as far as Mill goes, but that's my opinion. Thank you very much for all the answers, and let's move on to today's question. So today's question was actually a viewer question submitted by Ramon. So Ramon's another long-time viewer. Thank you very much for this one. And Ramon asks, how many more attackers could be supported with the Lost engine that we haven't tried? And so with this question, you have to remember that it's not just Mirage Gate. You could focus on the Cramorant. You could focus on something like Fantina. Okay? It's not just Mirage Gate, and it's not just Sableye, but those are the 2 forerunners. Right? I think that Giratina is kind of the strongest Pokemon that can leverage Mirage Gate, and then Sableye is just very good as well. And those 2 decks, as a result, are the 2 decks that make use of the Lost Zone engine the most. Now, to answer the question, theoretically, yeah, there's heaps, right? But you have to think about whether the payoff is worth it for investing in the Lost engine. Okay, let's focus on Mirage Gate, for example, because I think that there's the most potential there with Mirage Gate to find something and break it with access to an acceleration engine that could be applied to anything and can facilitate really awkward energy requirements as well, because that's what Mirage Gate does. That's why it's so appealing. Okay, so what I'm looking for is attacks that have either different colors or like a color and a colorless requirement, like Obstagoon or Decidueye or something like that. And I'm looking at around about the 2 to 3 cost when we're talking about Mirage Gate. As with anything, less evolutions is better. It makes the deck more consistent. And that being said, Colress does facilitate evolution decks quite well, so I wouldn't exclude Stage 2s, and in fact, I would encourage you to think about them, because often, maybe you can set up a Stage 2, but you can't really set up the energy, or you can't get the energy onto those Pokemon fast enough. So it's worth thinking about. Think about why. Is there a better way available to you? So for example, you could run a Lost Zone engine with Suicune, but why would you do it when you can just use Melanie and not have to Lost Zone things? So, look, I would just look for Pokemon that have kind of strong attacks or really tantalizing prospects, but are otherwise unplayable because their energy requirements are too awkward. So, let me know your thoughts. I gravitated towards Pokemon like Decidueye initially when I was thinking about Mirage Gate. You got to think about Pokemon that also don't have access to other types of acceleration. So Water is out of the picture because you've got things like Melanie. You've got Dark Patch already and Metal Saucer already, so I wouldn't think about those. But think about the other types and let me know what you think. Hopefully you're all enjoying this little series. I'm looking forward to reading all your responses, and I'll see you in the next live stream or video. So take care and goodbye. See you later.